Robert Paston, created the first Earl of Yarmouth in 1679, was the son of Sir William Paston. He was buried at Oxnead with his wife Rebecca. Robert was a prominent supporter of Charles II, who visited Oxnead in 1671. He was an original member of the Royal Society, which played a key role in the rapid advances in science during the Restoration period. Robert had an interest in alchemy, which was by and large the study of chemistry. Robert completed his father's commission of the painting The Paston Treasure, superficially a display of the Pastons' valuable possessions, but with other underlying, more complex themes. Robert Paston's debts accumulated, despite his attempts to generate income from the port of Great Yarmouth. The attempts to raise funds were largely unsuccessful, but Robert did manage to stretch the trading rights of the town of Great Yarmouth to include his proposed settlement on the other side of the River Yare. Robert's copious correspondence, which includes many affectionate letters to his wife, formed the third collection of the Paston letters.
Sir John Clayton, brother-in-law to Robert Paston, wrote to him in 1663 from Florence, Italy, with exciting news of developments in alchemy. His letter tells of secrets found in a book at the bottom of a well by a Benedictine monk. However, Robert Paston had to wait until John Clayton completed his journey to Paris for more news.
J. Clayton to Sir Robert Paston, April the 8th, 1663. Dear brother, sorrow comes overnight, but joy comes in the morning. This good news assaulted me, but never so pleasing could ever have arrived. This will make me come and give you joy sooner than I designed. Now all places are tedious to me till I see England again. As soon as the snow is dissolved on the Alps, I intend to cross them for France, and so directly to Paris, where I will spend my time till next winter, and then for England. There I hope to serve you with gusto. Letters I expect none till you hear that I am in Paris, but as I remove I will write continually to you. My course I think to steer by Vienna, for we hear that the French army is so far advanced towards the confines of Italy that there will be no returning that way. I am sorry that I cannot stay so long as to have your commands here. However, I shall bring some new knacks with me that will please you very well. I am so shut up with joy for your great happiness that I am not able to express myself as I desire. By this time you will certainly find 2 or 3 letters which were very large, so I can say but little more of my travels than what I have told you, only the entertainment of the Holy Week at Rome, where Knox cursed us sufficiently. If you know any friend of yours that has caruncles, I have some of the wax of the candle which Knox threw at us on Holy Thursday, with these words, Extinguatur sicut lumen. I have something befallen me here that will keep up the chores of alchemy, and as strange as if you've ever heard. The person I have it from is a monk of the right order, a Benedictine. The whole story is miraculous. The stone he tells me he has made, and the process I have at length fished of him, so as I think I cannot err in the practice. Just as your letters came, we were giving fire to the work, but now I shall not stay much longer here. The whole business is grounded upon the purifying of common mercury, which he does in 40 days, and after makes the sal naturae or sulph philosophorum, which reduced to a water radically dissolves gold and silver. This great secret he found in a book hidden in the bottom of a well, enclosed in a sordid lead and after a marble cover. The title of the book's Phoenix Hermetica, with a clavis and 6 wedges, 3 of gold, 3 of silver, made by the same process. This I am master of, and so are you, if all fail, by Thomas Vo Eugenius, This will serve to pass away the time 5 months longer. That is the utmost of this process. I had designed to have rambled long, but now you are in happiness, my journey ends. Long and tedious shall I think the minutes till I arrive at Paris. Then I hope you will be large in your commands, for I am, dearest brother, your most affectionate and overjoyed friend, J. Clayton. Your mourning I shall wear with thanks and gusto.
Rebecca Clayton was the daughter of Sir Jasper Clayton, a mercer and alderman from London. She married Robert Paston in 1650, and Rebecca and Robert had a long and happy marriage and several children. Rebecca had various titles during her life, thanks to her husband being known as the Earl of Yarmouth and then Viscount Yarmouth. In the 1660s, Robert wrote buoyant letters to Rebecca from London during the parliamentary sessions, and in the 1670s he wrote from Oxnead about his duties as Lord Lieutenant and his pressing need for money to support his position. His strong-minded wife Rebecca remained in London, appearing at court, making friendships and alliances, and perpetually waiting for any advantage that could be seized for her family. They corresponded in cipher, using signals for names and topics. Following the death of Robert Paston in 1683, Rebecca lived in different affluent areas of London and was known as the Dowager Countess of Yarmouth. Rebecca was seemingly not liked by many, and in a letter sent to her son William after Robert's death, her reception at Windsor was described as contemptuous, and herself an indiscreet and mischievous woman. Few of Rebecca's replies have survived in this later collection of letters, as presumably Robert took the command to burn the replies seriously. Here, Rebecca writes to her husband Robert in March 1669.
My Lord Kepler is a good man and just, and though he will not in this thing be kind to us, we must not forget what he hath done. I told him I hoped, since I had by Mr. Burton acquainted him with the whole strait of your affairs, he would be so generous as to not let you suffer for it, but all I can say was to no purpose. He is resolved not to meddle with your concerns, so I shall trouble him no more, for I believe he will do you no good. The king would have given him some crown lands and an honour, but he hath refused both. Pray, my dear, be not discouraged, but trust still in God, though all forsake us. He hath promised he will never leave us nor forsake us. I have been much troubled, but now, I bless God, I am recovered again, and I will, if God bless me, go on briskly again. The Duke of Buckingham will be your friend, and I hope God will direct us such ways as yet, if it please him, he may bless. My Lady Castlemaine hath £10,000 the other day. I am glad to hear the king hath money to give away. She is with child again. Sir William Coventry is in the Tower, and Harry Savile with him, who should have gone to the gatehouse by orders of the council, and many friends were made to prevail with the king to send him to the Tower. My Lord and Lady Mordaunt are coming over. My Lord of Peterborough hath cut off the entail of his estate, and intends to marry his daughter to my Lord Tollington, the general's son. I hope you have received all your clothes and like them. Whatsoever is amiss, pray pardon, for truly I am so much concerned for your greater affairs, as I can do nothing as I should. Pray, my dear, I wish you will do so generously as to seal my brother George for his debt to you. He is engaged for you beside. It would be a great affliction to have him louse by us, and in so doing this handsomely of your own accord, will thus oblige him alway to be serviceable to you. Do in this what you please. I have not said anything to him, nor doth he ask it of me, but I know he doth rely upon your worthy dealings with him, and you know our relations in this world. which will make a great talk if anything should fall in inconvenience upon him by our means. Truly, my dear, I think if you would, to Mr. Charlton and Mr. Eaton and Godling, do the same, it will be much for your honour. I wish everybody were secure in this way, for that will make you so many sure interests in the world, and it may prevent the taking of it away, for nobody will venture upon when they know so many people are to be paid out of it. But do in this what you will. I only hint these things to you. My mother and brother and sister present you with our humble service. My blessing to my daughter. I must not forget to tell you a romance story which concerneth her. On Saturday, when I came from my journey, and sick I went to bed, and there came one to speak to me, whose name was Mr. Wyatt, and he said that I did not know him. So I got my brother to go down to him, and his business to me was, he heard I had a daughter, and he did know a gentleman that had £5,000 a year, and money in his purse, which was much in love with her, and if I would give him £1,500, he would make the match, and he should not meddle with 1 farthing of her portion, but give it all to herself, to do what she would with it. So, when he hath done this business, you might choose whether you would pay him but £500 of ready money, that when he did this thing, the man of good family, and 2 good houses well furnished, one in London and the other in the country, and a person well known in the world, my brother told him if he would accept of your bond, he might, else he would trouble himself no more about it. I hope this will be a good omen to Peg, though nothing more come of this. My dear, I hope you will pardon this long epistle, but you say you are alone and melancholy, and I hope this will divert you. I pray God help you and send us a happy meeting, to the joy of your wife. Yours, Rebecca Paston.
In 1676, Edmund Thaxter, George England, Richard Huntington, and Thomas England wrote from Yarmouth to Robert Paston about a libel against them by one Richard Bowers. Bowers was a coffee-house keeper who had held and been dismissed from various posts in the customs and other services. Bowers was a regular correspondent of Charles II's Secretary of State and chief intelligence gatherer, Sir Joseph Williamson, providing him with information on 2 essential topics: shipping and the activities of Yarmouth's nonconformists. Here the men write to Robert Paston on the 3rd of July, 1676.
These for the Right Honourable Robert Lord Paston, Viscount Yarmouth, at the Golden Ball in Suffolk Street, near Charing Cross, London. May it please your Lordship, we, having had sight of that scandalous libel wrote by one Bowers, our late coffee-man, to Mr. Secretary Williamson, might be prompted to vindicate our reputations and to clear ourselves from the unjust aspersions therein most falsely cast upon us. But considering your Lordship's credit, cannot we hope ours will not be eclipsed or the least impaired by the most untrue suggestions of so malicious, envious, and abject a person? We wholly decline it, and choose rather to give your Lordship some short account of the employment and deportment of this fellow, since he lived at Yarmouth. About 20 years since, he came to this town in a most forlorn and impoverished condition, having scarce wherewithal to cover his nakedness, but by some means got to be an inferior officer in the excise under one Mr. Greensmith, and others then commissioners for that purpose, but stayed not long in that employment, for in a short while for most notorious and palpable unfaithfulness in the discharge of that office was turned out, and soon after he procured himself a land-waiter's place in the customs, and he behaving himself as little faithfully in this as in the former employment, was for breach of trust after a short continuance discharged thereof. Next he listed himself for £8 per annum in a troop raised for plunder and decimation under Colonel Brewster, and complied most exactly with all the proceedings of the usurped powers and authority in the late troublesome and rebellious times. After his Majesty's most happy restoration, he screwed himself, by whatever means we know not, into several places, successively, of public trust, but behaved himself so treacherously in all, as he could not long keep any, but was dismissed for manifest falseness and fraud in the execution thereof. And being by these ill practices so well known, he thought it vain again to attempt any employment of the like nature, and therefore betook himself to keep a coffee-house, procures the public intelligence, and by caballing with some few persons of his own humour, have ever since been a busy and troublesome man, and, inasmuch as is in him laid, disturbing or encouraging the government of the town, according to the apprehensions he had of the person in whose hands it happened to be lodged. Particularly he discovers much dissatisfaction with your lordship's late settlement of the militia in this corporation, by complaining of the persons entrusted, and most incessantly dissuading several, who we humbly conceive are duly and legally assist, from appearing in their arms when summoned, which courses of his, unless timely prevented by some exemplary punishment, must unavoidably be highly prejudicial to his Majesty's service in this place. We humbly submit the premises to your lordship's prudence, and pray your lordship's speedy consideration of some course effectively to punish the past and prevent the future ill behaviour of this insolent fellow, whereby both the civil and military government of this place will in all probability be managed with much more ease and cheerfulness than now it is. We are your lordship's most faithful and most obedient servants, Edmund Thaxter, George England, Richard Huntingdon, Thomas England.
John Goff was the rector of Oxnead and tutor to Jasper, Thomas, and Elizabeth, children of Robert and Rebecca Paston. Far from being model pupils, John's letters to the children's parents show that they were easily distracted and reluctant to focus on their studies. A letter dated 1675 describes John feeling ashamed of the children, stating, "They so little profit in their learning that I am ashamed of them, and though I do what I can, and scold at them more than I would or indeed should every day, yet it signifies nothing." This letter from John Goff to Rebecca Paston was written after an attack had been made on Robert Paston's coach in Kensington. Shots had been fired by highwaymen, and Robert had been wounded.
(1675) August the 16th, Oxnead. Most honoured Madam, the news by Saturday post has mightily revived me, and I cannot tell how to express my thankfulness to your honour for the care you took to let me know it in any proportion to the comfort I received from it. I must confess, when I had the first news of my lord's mishap from Mr. Clayton, though I hoped it would prove no worse than he represented, yet when I reflected upon the extraordinary danger his lordship was engaged in, I was tremblingly afraid of some worse news. And truly, since it proved so good as could reasonably be expected in such circumstances, I bow my knees in thankfulness to the Father of mercies for so wonderfully delivering my Lord from the jaws of death, and for giving us so fair hopes of his lordship's speedy and happy recovery. I pray God make us dutifully sensible of and thankful for so great mercies to the family, and our being so will be the best course we can take for the continuance of them, and the addition of further blessings to it. I hope this letter will find your honour cheering up after so sad an event, seeing through God's goodness things succeed so well. And to understand so much will be matter of rejoicing to me. Seeing in your honour's grief I cannot but sympathise. The news was not rife in the country till Saturday post came in, since which time several have sent to understand how my lord is. Major Doughty came at 9 o'clock on Saturday night, not being able to rest till he understood what condition my lord was in, and seeming much satisfied at the good news. He desired me to tender his humble service to both your honours, and his best wishes for my lord's good health. I beg my most humble duty to my lord, from your honour's most dutiful chaplain and obedient servant, John Goff. Postscript. The young gentleman and miss present their duty to my lord and your honour, and are very glad to hear that their father had such a deliverance, and is in so fair a way of recovery. Poor Mr. Thomas presently fell a-crying at the first news, and could not in a great while be comforted, so much as to stop his tears.
We hope you have enjoyed this little glimpse into the lives of the later Paston family, with around 2,000 letters and documents showing the rise of the family in the 15th and 16th centuries to the downfall in the 17th century. There's plenty more to discover. To find out more, head to the Paston Footprints website.